All right, strapping guys, this one is a good one. This is something that I've wanted to talk about for actually kind of a while now. And it's something that it's a mindset shift that has changed my life. And it's basically what I'm realizing. TikTok was stealing my potential. You guys noticed that I talk a lot about how you should really not have social media and kind of the dangers about doom scrolling, right? I talk about that a good amount on this channel, but what I don't always talk about is TikTok. I actually did have a TikTok, not like to post or anything, but I had one to basically just like doom scroll and just like I saw it as like, oh, I'm learning about recipes. I'm learning about workout routines. I'm learning about meal prep, things like that, right? I saw it as a useful thing. And to be quite fair with you guys, it was pretty useful. You know, there was a lot of things that I did learn, but there's a lot of things that I was giving up without even realizing it. Like subconsciously, I didn't realize the obvious thing is like how much time it takes up, but there's so many other things that I'll get into in this video. And I want to explain the dangers of doom scrolling. You guys know the obvious ones, but I want to talk about like why it's so bad. It's not even just like a little bad. It's really like so bad. A lot of it has to do with like dopamine levels. And so if you guys are interested in that, you know, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Okay. We are doing really well here. And I appreciate you guys. I am going to set up a Google Forms for Dear Dinah. That's something that I want to continue on this channel here. Yeah, Dear Dinah is a weekly, well, hopefully weekly Q&A series where you guys send in questions and, you know, hopefully I give you guys some good answers. But anyway, that's for another video. We're here to talk about how TikTok was basically like ruining my life and stealing my potential. So first thing up here, the first thing that I think you got to change your mindset, and it's a little irrelevant to TikTok right now, but you're going to stay with me here. Stop thinking that people just got lucky. You know, on TikTok, on Instagram, you're going to see a lot of influencers, a lot of jacked dudes, a lot of rich people, you know, beautiful women, et cetera, right? You're going to see all these people and just think you're essentially going to be like, you know, they just lucked into that body. You know, they have the time and stuff. I have a kid, I have a job, I have a kid. You know, I can't do these kind of things. I have other hobbies. I can't spend 8 hours in the gym like this person. Or, you know, I wasn't born rich. So like, of course they're a multimillionaire now, even though, you know, just their parents was rich. No, I quickly had to realize like, yeah, I have a lot of IRL friends too, that I thought like, yeah, your parents were rich. And this is why you can, you know, quit your job if you wanted to. This is why you can do XYZ if you wanted to. The truth is that thinking doesn't get you anywhere. Even if you're right, even if you're 100,000% right, which generally speaking, you're probably not because, well, you're not them. You know what I mean? Like you can't think in their mindset, think in their shoes because you don't know every situation. Maybe to you, it's like, you know, oh, that guy was just like scared. So that's why he quit his job, or he's just lazy. So he's able to quit his job. Maybe that guy was struggling for weeks, for months about it and was like, I really don't want to do this, but like for my mental state, I'm going to have to do this. You know, you don't understand that. And maybe he tells you, maybe he doesn't, maybe you're close enough and maybe you're not, right? You can't just assume that. But again, going back to it, even if you're right, what does that mindset get you? Congratulations, that guy is lucky and you're not. What is crying about it going to do anything, right? How is that going to change your life tomorrow in 5 seconds, right? Yes, I was right. He is lucky. He just lucked into this body, or he is just doing steroids and he's not actually working out. Again, what is that doing for you? And that's something I was noticing about myself on TikTok. I was comparing subconsciously myself, my gains, my, you know, financial income to so many random people. Again, these are not even like friends, just random people on the internet. And I was getting upset. I was just like, dude, he has what I have, or he, you know, he has what I want, stuff like that. You know, that doesn't do you any good. Like, it's good to be inspired and like learn like, oh, okay, like he's jacked. What is he eating to get so jacked? How often is he working out? And what exercises is he doing to get so jacked? That kind of thing, it makes sense, you know, if you have the right mindset there. But I quickly realized I was not thinking this, and it was translating to real life too, which again, you don't want to be thinking that with your good friends, right? Your buddies. The second thing that I noticed is your perspective has to change, right? When you look to buy a car and you're doing research on it, you start seeing it everywhere. You know, every red light, parking lots, things like that, you're going to start seeing it. And the reason is because you got to rewire your brain to look for the things that you're actually searching for. Again, the car example, I'm searching for a red Toyota Camry. Guess what I'm going to start seeing at Target the next day, right? But before then, you know, you never really paid attention to it, even though they're probably all around you. And I think this is something that I want to talk about in terms of the TikTok algorithm. Many times we don't even use the following page, the following tab, subscriptions on YouTube, right? We don't even look at that stuff anymore. We just look at the For You. We just look at the recommended, because subscriptions nowadays, or services and algorithms, they're so good now that they know what you're going to type into Google before you do, right? It's just so smart nowadays. And I think you have to rewire your brain. You can't just be, I guess, this quote unquote predictable. It doesn't do you any good. But along with that, focus your things on things that actually matter. Like, just because you look at, I don't know, let's say a baseball card once, they're going to start showing you baseball cards on your Twitter, on your TikTok, whatever. They're going to show you that everywhere you look. And if you're not careful, you're going to start getting into that. Oh, hey, this guy has a bunch of baseball cards. How come I don't have any baseball cards? Oh, this one's on sale. Oh, shoot, maybe I should get it. When in reality, you didn't care about baseball cards to begin with. You're literally there because the algorithm, planted that seed in your head, and you were just like, hey, why not go for it? And so my point here is that if you're focused on calories, weight loss, meal prep, if you're focused on potential mates for dating or finances, learn to study that and search for it. Don't just, bank on the algorithm like, oh, these 5 tips might be helpful. Like, no, this is how to start a 401k. This is how to start, saving and investing. Like, look those things up rather than just simply going off the algorithm. And I think the main purpose here is because you need to rewire your brain and focus. Like, obviously, like if you get recommended like investing stuff and you're interested in investments, that's fine. But if you're trying to save money, maybe, don't accidentally subscribe to like eBay and Lululemon and Uniqlo and Costco and stuff like that. And, getting like hella notifications about various deals going on. Like, maybe don't do that, right? Another thing that I was thinking about in terms of my mindset is planning out your goals, right? When you say things like, I can do this, to yourself, when you believe what you're set your mind to, your chances are just significantly better. I don't have the exact percentage or the stats, but your chances are just insanely better. When you write out your goals, when you say them, when you tell people, thinking it all the time, like, I'm going to get ripped. I'm going to bench 2 plates. I'm going to walk 20,000 steps per day. When you say these things over and over again, you believe them and you think that you can do them. And I think TikTok, for me, I was not saying things. I was not planning any goals, because why do I need to, right? I just need to use the algorithm. I just need to like learn from TikTok. I don't need to like Google anything. I don't need to learn a specific skill or anything like that. I can learn it on TikTok, or I can just pass my time on TikTok. And I think I realized like TikTok was taking away, obviously it wasn't adding to any of my goals, but I think it was also taking, like, straight up just taking away from my goals. It was taking away from my time, things that I could be using, like time I could be using to make content, like more Dyna videos, more getting more gameplays even, even though you think like Call of Duty might be kind of a waste of time, which it is, I'm able to kind of capitalize here and make videos, which in turn pays for, I guess, the time that I'm making, as well as it just being fun, right? It's a hobby. It's not always about making $1 million every single time you publish a video. Like, I do this for the love of the game, right? And the paycheck is nice, I guess. But also with this mindset about planning out goals and saying things like, I can do this. If your default status and mindset is that you can't get in shape or you can't get rich, you never will, right? If you don't believe in yourself, how is anyone supposed to? If you don't believe you're a good salesman, how is anybody going to watch your videos? How is anybody going to buy from you, right? What do you expect people to do, right? And so you have to plan things out. You have to think. And I think TikTok was really just taken away from my thinking. It was taking away from my ability to sit down and concentrate. And that's another thing that we're going to talk into here. I highly recommend you guys do a full-on dopamine detox, not even just like delete Instagram or delete YouTube or social media. Delete anything that is a high dopamine trigger, like straight up social media, junk food, your phone, anything that's just like, oh, this is the easy way out. Don't do it. Like, just purposely step away from it. I'm a huge fan of this. Step away from all your triggers. Like my personal ones, I'll be honest with you guys, I have a huge sweet tooth. I have a huge snacking habit. Anytime I'm bored, anytime I'm like remotely got a free moment or anything like that, I'll try to reach for a snack. And it's not even like I'm hungry. Like sometimes I'm hungry, but like sometimes it's just straight up out of habit. Step away from that, right? It's good to be a little hungry. It's good to not be constantly stimulated by your phone, by social media. Stop having a million notifications when you only need like 3 or 4 from your friends or from an interesting account. I also think, obviously Instagram, TikTok, anything like that, high dopamine just ruins your perceptors. What I would do instead, this is the next tip here, is to replace it with high value dopamines, the effects and habits. These is things like journaling and reading, meditating, praying, starting a new hobby, preferably something without a screen, but pick 1 or 2. I really don't want you to go into overboard, delete every single thing, every single vice of yours, and then just be like, yeah, I'm just going to journal and read for the next 45 days. Like, you're not going to do that. Okay. Just delete 1 or 2 things. If it's junk food, get rid of that. Social media, get rid of that. Just tell yourself, I am not going to do this for the next 30 days, 45 days, whatever it might be. I'm going to do this instead, which is journaling, meditating, praying, cleaning, just organizing yourself, organizing your life, setting goals, setting actual in 3 to 5 years goals. I know that's not the most interesting thing. I know it's a little boring, but guess what? It's good for you. And it's okay to be a little boring. That's actually my next thing. The next time you're at a red light, I felt a huge need to just scroll, and I still kind of do, but just a huge need to just scroll or text someone back or check Twitter or anything like that. Anytime you're dull in a conversation, you're waiting in line for something, just exist. Just don't take out your phone. Don't feel like you need to be stimulated. Exist in the world without looking like a freaking zombie. So many of us, and me included, it's just so easy because it's awkward, how are you just standing there, without any friends, without talking to anybody? You're weird. Scratch that. You know what I mean? That's the normal way that people think. You don't want to be normal, because the normal people waste time. The normal people is overweight. The normal people is not rich. You want to be the better version of yourself and the better version of so many people out there. Okay. You don't need to, feel weird and feel judged by normal people, because again, we're trying to be better than that. We're trying to be better than average, not just average. If you want to be average, then do what every average person is doing. You have to be exceptional. That's literally the definition of the word. And I'm not saying that just delete your phone, throw your phone away. I'm not saying that, but just existing without, talking to anybody, or obviously you should be talking to someone, but without texting, without having to check the weather app and Twitter, when your phone's so dry that, you got to check the weather app to look busy. Just don't do that. Just exist. You don't have to strike up a conversation with people, but just exist. Just look around, just stand there, look at the ceiling, just be a person. You know what I mean? And I think the last thing that I learned about TikTok and how detrimental it is for our lives is how consumption culture is just such a waste. It's just so unnecessary, right? And I say this in a lot of my videos, but stop consuming, start creating. You really need to sharpen the creative muscles if you want to be above average, right? Every NPC out there watches 50 million TikToks and then goes to bed. Do you want to be like everyone else? They weren't productive with the world. They weren't productive with themselves. They didn't get any closer to their goals or dreams. Do you want to be like that? I think it doesn't mean you be a content creator. It just means create whatever you're interested in. If you're trying to get into coding, if you're trying to learn a language, stop scrolling and start building your goals towards that. Again, I'm not saying you got to be a TikToker. I'm not saying you got to make short form or long form content. Obviously, if you're interested in it, that'd probably be a good place to start, just deleting TikTok and getting started on something like that, something that'll actually help you. Potentially you can monetize in the future, right? So much better, so much more beneficial than what you're probably currently doing right now. Anyway, guys, I don't mean for this to come off super lectury. These are just some things that I learned, and I've deleted TikTok for quite a while. It's been a while now, probably at least 8 months since I've deleted it. And I'm going to tell you straight up, as a person who's deleted it for a long time now, I don't miss it at all. Here and there, it's it'd be nice to try a new recipe. Guess what? I go looking for it. Here and there, it's it's cool to look at, maybe there's a new workout or something like that, a new plan I could try. Guess what? I just look it up. There's a thing called Google. There's a thing called YouTube, right? Like you can look things up without feeling like you're missing out on everything. And all this like news sources, like, I don't know. I used to get notifications for random like music groups and, you know, Pokemon drops, stuff like that. Like it don't really matter at the end of the day. None of that stuff. You're going to be like 95 years old and be like, dang, I wish I got more Pokemon cards, or like, dang, I wish I knew what happened to Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez or Haley, whoever he's with now. Like you're not going to be 90 and being like, shoot, I wish I learned more about that, right? You're going to be like, dang, I wish I accomplished my dreams. I wish I went for, you know, creating content or investing earlier. And now like my kid's kid has an easier life than I did. Like there's things that you'll remember. And I just don't think a lot of that stuff is going to be from TikTok, right? When you're 90, you're not going to be like, I wish I was on TikTok more. You're probably going to be like, I wish I spent more time with friends. I wish I talked to my mom more. I wish I talked to my girlfriend, my wife more. Things like that, you're probably going to say. Anyway, hopefully that's enough guilt tripping for one video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I had a lot of fun with this one, spent a lot of time. And if you enjoy this kind of thing, you know, feel free to leave a like. I do plan on making at least one, maybe 2 videos a week. Hopefully one will be like Dear Dinah with like the Google form inbox. And then hopefully another one will be videos similar to this, you know, where I kind of just talk about something that I find interesting going on in my life. But again, that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you haven't already, subscribe, leave a like, and leave a comment. If you're still on TikTok and you feel like you need to be, I don't know, for some reason, let me know that in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, guys. Peace, and peace.